What's the one piece of career advice you wish someone had given you when you were starting out?
That's quite easy, because when I look back to what I was like then and what I am now, and as a manager and having managed lots of teams remotely and face-to-face, you want enthusiasm from your team, especially when you're talking about a new idea, a new concept, or a change of direction. You want people on board really quickly, so as a team. So you want people to be enthusiastic about the opportunity, not the negatives, what could happen if you don't do it.
Yeah.
And also with that is you want people to react quickly. If your boss sends you a message about, oh, we need to look at this, don't wait till tomorrow before you acknowledge it. Acknowledge it as quickly as possible, even if it's just a holding note, email, text, voicemail, whatever it happens to be. Got your message, we're on it. That's what the boss wants to know. And the more you do that, even if your end result isn't great, first impressions really, really, really count. And of course, we look at all these different kind of social metrics of how people react to different things and what people are like and the color code or different psychometric tests. But even with all of that in mind, the faster you react and acknowledge something and get on with the program, the more the boss likes it. So that would be my top tip for every single person at whatever level: react quickly.
Yeah, and it's so relevant in this day and age as well, because, you know, when I've got two daughters who are in their early 20s, and if they're in a messaging group and no one reacts or answers to their question to, you know, where we going tonight for an hour, it's hell for them. So yeah, that works in work and personal. So brilliant. Okay.
Yeah, and it's interesting enough, when you look at the different generations now, old fogies, sort of like the baby boomers,
yeah,
they grew up before even the internet was even thought about. And then you've got X, Y, Z, and the Zs are now coming out of university. They were born with a mobile phone in their hand. They're in the workplace. We've got to change how we react as managers to associate with them as well as them associating with us. So it's a two-way thing, but we've got to be aware of how they work.
Can you share a pivotal moment in your career journey that made a significant impact?
I refused a job to be promoted to a manager of a go live for an EPR system, so in the NHS, because I thought it was a basket case. It just couldn't work. It wouldn't work. And I said no. But then, interesting enough, a number of senior people in the organisation came back to me to ask why. We then spent some time, redeveloped, reworked something and made it work, and then I took the role. But if I'd just accepted, it would have been a basket case and I wouldn't have lasted 3 to 6 months.
And it would have been on your head, be it,
Of course, I was an idiot. So that was a fundamental point of being able to challenge what it was that we were trying to do as an organisation and the setup behind it.
Yeah, and you do see that so often that people will just go along with the client's decision, knowing full well they're not going to make this work and it never ends well. How do you approach challenges and setbacks in your professional life, and what's your go-to strategy for overcoming them?
So challenges, as my wife will often say, if it's not a challenge, I'm not interested. So if it's easy, I'm not interested, or I'll pay little attention to it or little effort to it. If it's a challenge, I get motivated by it. So I want to have challenges, and that automatically means setbacks. And of course, like everyone, I want to go and sulk when I get a setback, like everyone does. Most of the time, hopefully, it's a relatively short period of time. Sometimes it can be a long period of time if something goes really, really badly. Like I'd invested in a company, got ill, ended up losing the company, ended up losing our house.
Okay, well that's a big one.
That's
as bad as it can get, really. Yeah.
Well, not quite, but my wife stayed with me, and the whole family became stronger because of it. So that was a big setback. Most things professionally in your life, it's you take the hit and you move on. And most sports people will probably say, they don't learn from their wins. They learn
Yes.
when they lose. They learn how to get better, how to change their tactics or their training or whatever they're actually doing. So I hate to say it, but setbacks are brilliant.
Yeah.
And if we're not getting them, we're not trying hard enough or we're not challenging ourselves. So, and quite often I come from a sports and fitness background. So a lot of the time I go back to sporting analogies and try and use that as my go-to strategy going forward. What would an athlete do in this situation?
Yeah, that's absolutely brilliant. You know, it's thinking, you know, it's not how many times you fall, is it? It's how many times you get back up. And I like that quote, don't learn from wins, learn from mistakes.